30 teams, 30 third basemen. Let's rank them using statistics. Starting off at number 30 is Matthew Batten for the San Diego Padres. Now, Manny Machado is currently listed as the starting DH according to Fangraphs, so that's just what I went with. I don't necessarily agree with this move, but Fangraphs probably knows more than I do. We don't know what the Padres are going to do, so I'm just going with what Fangraphs says. Batten is nowhere near Manny Machado though, obviously. The production last year wasn't that bad, but the underlying numbers were awful. He had an average exit velocity of just 85 miles per hour, which is in the bottom 5%. He's going to be 29 years old, and he wasn't even that good in the minor leagues. The 2024 Padres lineup is looking pretty top-heavy at this point. Next at 29 is Nick Senzel of the Washington Nationals. Senzel has had a rough career so far, only posting one season out of his first 5 with a positive WAR, and that season was his first one in 2019, which is a long time ago at this point. I don't think I need to say much more. The underlying stats don't look good either. I don't think the Nationals should be content with this guy starting at third base, but that's what they're rolling with right now. At number 28 is Abraham Toro, representing the wonderful Oakland Athletics. He has not had a good career so far. He's going to be 27 years old next year. He barely played in the majors last year. The only thing he's done well in his career is avoid strikeouts. That doesn't really mean much though when the quality of contact just isn't there. The A's are not going to be good in 2024, and I don't see Abraham Toro doing that much to help. Coming in at number 27 is Andrew Monasterio for the Milwaukee Brewers. In his rookie year, Monasterio put up a .4 WAR in a utility role and will look to get the full-time job at third base this year. If you've been watching all of the rankings, you would know that the Brewers typically don't finish too high, and that is the case again today. Monasterio is not a good hitter. He doesn't barrel up the ball that often. A barrel is considered any ball hit at over 98 miles per hour and between 26 and 32 degrees for the launch angle. Those are barrels or balls that are hit well. Home runs, doubles, extra base hits, that's what you want to be hitting. Monasterio does not do that well. He has a little more potential than the prior 3 players just because his average exit velocity of 88.8 miles per hour is not a complete disaster, but you don't really want this guy starting at third base. At number 26 is Luis Urias from the Seattle Mariners. He's the first player on this list to have some sort of success in his career. He put up 2.3 WAR in 2022 and 2.1 WAR in 2021. Last year, the production was not as pretty though. His barrel rate went down, expected batting average went down, his expected slugging percentage went down. Now, 2023 was a smaller sample size for him, but it's clearly saying that he wasn't making good contact, which doesn't bode well for his projections in 2024. Number 25 is Brett Baty for the New York Mets. Baty, of course, has been a well-known prospect for a while now, and he finally got a solid chance in the majors last year. He didn't really take much advantage of that chance, though. Fangraphs ranked him as the 19th best prospect in the entire league when he graduated, mostly known for his power. In his rookie year, he didn't really show much power. He had about an average exit velocity, a below-average barrel rate, a 24th percentile expected slugging percentage, so not too much power there. He also struck out a lot and didn't walk much either. He's still young and he's only going to be 24 years old next year, so there's no reason to lose hope yet, but this was not the rookie season the Mets wanted out of Baty. Number 24 is Cavan Biggio, representing the Toronto Blue Jays. Biggio had above average offensive production last year, indicated by his 103 WRC+, meaning he was 3% better than the average hitter. Defensively, though, he wasn't as good in his utility role. Matt Chapman is currently a free agent, so Biggio is projected to be the third baseman as of now. One thing he does do really well on the offensive side is drawing walks. He put up an 11.8% walk rate last season, which is in the 84th percentile. That's great for the on-base percentage, but he doesn't really do much else on the offensive side. He strikes out quite a bit and he doesn't hit the ball hard. He's going to be 29 years old next year, so I'm not expecting any huge breakout from him, but I don't think he's the worst option at third base in the league. Number 23 is Nick Madrigal for the Chicago Cubs. He's up here for one thing and one thing only, and that is his defense. He put up an 89th percentile FRV, or fielding run value, last season. If you don't know, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, fielding run value is just a stat that uses outs above average to determine how valuable a player was on defense. On offense, he's known for avoiding strikeouts with a minuscule 8.2% strikeout rate. The problem is he makes a lot of contact, but the quality of contact is not that good. It also doesn't help that he refuses to walk with a 3.4% walk rate. That is awful. This means he could make a lot of contact and hit for a high batting average, but his on-base percentage will never be good, which is what really matters. He's good on defense though, so that's why he's here at number 23. Number 22 is DJ LeMahieu from the New York Yankees. DJ is going to be 35 years old next year, which already indicates that some regression is probably going to take place. Last season, he still managed to put up an above-average hitting season with a 101 WRC+. Defensively, he was okay, but base running-wise, he was one of the worst in the league, which may not seem like much, but that hurts his offensive value more than you think. He does still take walks. It's kind of just like meh at the plate at this point. You can't really expect too much out of LeMahieu in 2024. Number 21 is Yoan Moncada of the Chicago White Sox. Moncada is similar to LeMahieu at this point, where offensively he hasn't really been able to do much. Unlike LeMahieu though, he doesn't walk a lot, so the on-base numbers aren't really good, but what he does do is barrel up the ball a decent amount. He had a 64th percentile barrel rate in 2023, which is not amazing, but it is higher than everyone else on this list so far. This means that he's still making pretty good contact at some points. It kind of makes me want to believe that he still has it in him, even though we haven't seen great offensive production from him since 2021 and 2019. I don't think he'll ever get back to that level at this point, but he is only 29 years old, so I don't think it's impossible either. Up next at number 20 is Matt Vierling for the Detroit Tigers. Production-wise, he was okay last year. He was nearly a league average hitter with above average defense. Last year, though, he played a lot of games in corner outfield, much more than third base. In fact, he only played 35 games at third last year, so the defensive stats might not translate. So far in his young career, Vierling hasn't been much of a power hitter with just a 13th percentile barrel rate in 2023, but he has been able to make good contact at some points. He had a 69th percentile expected batting average to go along with an average walk rate and strikeout rate. I don't think he's going to be breaking out in 2024 or have a great season, but he should be serviceable at third in 2024. At number 19 is the 64th best prospect in the league, according to Fangraphs, and that is Noelvi Marte, representing the Cincinnati Reds. Last year, in a small sample, he produced pretty well. The underlying numbers are also good. A 91.3 miles per hour average exit velocity with an above average strikeout rate, that's a pretty good combination. Defensively, he isn't really supposed to be that good. Fangraphs has him as a 30 grade defense currently. He's only going to be 22 years old next year, so there's plenty of time to develop some defensive skills. He went from high A to the majors in one single season, which is rare, and you obviously need to be talented to do that. I think he has a bright future in terms of offense, but is 2024 going to be his year? Probably not, but he's going to be here at number 19. Number 18 is Alec Bohm of the Philadelphia Phillies. 2023 was his best year in his career in terms of offensive production, but he hasn't really reached that ceiling that everyone thought he had as a prospect. His exit velocity has only fallen since 2021 when it was 92 miles per hour, in 2022 it was 90 miles per hour, and in 2023 it was 89. That's not the only thing that matters when it comes to hitting, but it isn't a great sign by any means. What he has improved on, though, is his whiff rate and strikeout rate. He had an 88th percentile strikeout rate, which means he was very good at making contact, he put the ball in play a lot, and he had a high expected batting average. The expected numbers say that he was getting a little unlucky, as his actual WOBA was less than his expected WOBA. That is a pretty good sign that we may see some improvement in 2024 on the offensive side. On defense, though, he's not good. 22nd percentile fielding run value, that's why he's down here at 18. Number 17 is J.D. Davis for the San Francisco Giants. He really is just one of the most average players in the league. If he plays a full season, he's probably going to put up somewhere around 2 WAR, which is the average WAR. He hits the ball hard with a 77th percentile exit velocity, but strikes out a lot with a 28% strikeout rate, which is a common combination. He was good defensively last year, but throughout his career, he has been much worse defensively, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes for him in 2024. He's pretty average. I have him here at number 17. Number 16 is Anthony, the season needs to be shorter, Rendon. I don't really know what to do with him. In 2020, he had a great year in the shortened COVID season. The last 3 years, though, he's only played 148 games, which would be good for a full season, but that was spread out over 3 seasons. Not good. He's going to be 34 years old, which is not extremely old, but he is running out of time. I just put him here in the middle because he very well could be closer to the top 10 if he stays healthy, but he also could finish near the bottom. Your guess is as good as mine. Getting into the top half of the list, first off, I have Eugenio Suarez, newly acquired by the Arizona Diamondbacks. It was an interesting season for Suarez last year. He didn't really put up the home run numbers that we're used to seeing from him. Usually a 30-plus homer kind of guy. Only hit 22 last year, but I don't really care about home runs. Just not really a good stat to look at. His WRC plus was also pretty low, as he put up just 102 after putting up 130 in 2022. His underlying numbers aren't as bad though, as he had an 87th percentile barrel rate, which means he's still hitting the ball hard at a good launch angle, which you love to see. He strikes out a lot with a K rate over 30%, but the thing that makes this season interesting for Suarez was the defense. He was always around league average or way below, but this season he was well above average in the 90th percentile in terms of fielding run value. He put up a 97th percentile outs above average at third base. Is that something he can sustain going into his age 32 season? We'll have to see. Speaking of defense, I have Ryan McMahon at number 14 for the Colorado Rockies. Of course, defense is a big part of his game, and he has been one of the top defenders at his position for a while. Offensively, his OPS was good last year, but of course, playing in Coors Field, once that is adjusted, the WRC Plus doesn't look all that good. He does strike out a lot, but he walks a good amount. The batting average is going to be low, but the on-base percentage will be okay, which is what really matters. Anything he provides on offense is really just a bonus because he's up here for his consistent, I wouldn't say elite defense, but very, very good defense. At number 13 is Maikel Garcia for the Kansas City Royals. He graduated as the 67th best prospect according to Fangraphs and had some pretty good production in his rookie season. Defensively, he was elite with a 94th percentile fielding run value. Matt Chapman won the Gold Glove, but Garcia was much better defensively. That is what he was known for as a prospect too, so it's not like this is coming out of nowhere. I would say that he's a top 3 defender at the position, maybe number 2, not number 1 though. We'll talk about him in a minute. Now adding on to his elite defense, we have some pretty promising offensive tools to work with here. The production really wasn't there in 2023, but he put up an average exit velocity of 91.8 miles per hour in 2023. Some other hitters with that number: Bryce Harper, Marcell Ozuna, Mike Trout. That's some good company. He also doesn't chase with a chase rate in the 90th percentile. I would expect the walk rate to increase if that chase rate stays the same, because a 90th percentile chase rate combined with a 7% walk rate doesn't really make much sense to me. But a guy with upside on offense and is already elite on defense that is 24 years old, it's hard not to put him this high on this list. At number 12 is Isaac Paredes of the Tampa Bay Rays. If you watch my second base ranking, the comparisons to Marcus Stroman are going to make a lot of sense here. Paredes does not hit the ball hard. He has a 13th percentile average exit velocity, a 26th percentile barrel rate, and a 6th percentile hard hit rate. It does not make any sense that he had 31 home runs last year. He's just not a power hitter. He doesn't hit the ball hard. You just don't see this happening. How does he do it? He pulls the ball down the line. Take a look at his spray chart from 2023. Every single one of his home runs went to left field, and a lot of them were right down the line. If you don't know, that's the shortest distance to hit a home run. He doesn't need to be hitting the ball at elite exit velocities to be getting these homers. The question is this skill? Is this luck? Can he repeat it? The analytical mind in me says no, but there have been other players that have done this over a long span of time, mainly Nolan Arenado, who we'll talk about also in a little bit. The numbers say he was one of the luckiest hitters in the league, and his actual WOBA was 50 points higher than his expected WOBA, which is expected because he was not making good quality contact for this many home runs. I put him at number 12. He's not really amazing on defense. I guess we'll have to wait and see what he does in 2024. Just missing out on the top 10 is Jake Burger at number 11 for the Miami Marlins. Just a stereotypical power hitter, hits the ball hard consistently, puts up a 98th percentile barrel rate in 2023, which is amazing. That is great, but he does strike out a lot and also doesn't walk. Also, he plays pretty bad defense. One of the best power hitters in the league. 90th percentile barrel rate, 89th percentile exit velocity, 91st percentile hard hit rate, and 91st percentile expected slugging. If he walked more and got on base, I would definitely consider putting him in the top 10 and maybe even closer to the top 5, but he's just not a complete player yet. Only 27 years old, so he has a lot of time to build on it. At number 10 is Max Muncy for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Muncy is basically just a clone of Jake Burger, except he walks a lot. His walk rate is in the 96th percentile, which means his on-base percentage is always going to be good. He is also pretty bad on defense. He's just not a good enough hitter to make up for it to be considered a top-tier third baseman in the league. At number 9 is Royce Lewis for the Minnesota Twins. This production that he put up last year is obviously going to go down over a full season. His WOBA numbers suggest he was overperforming what his quality of contact was expected to do. Defensively, he's not the best, but not the worst either. His offensive production will definitely regress, but I still think he will be an above-average hitter in 2024, and he's only going to be 25 years old, so the projections look pretty good for him. At number 8 is Nolan Arenado, representing the St. Louis Cardinals. Arenado obviously had a down year last year. That was his worst full year in terms of WAR since 2014. The offensive production wasn't quite there with a 107 WRC+. The defense also took a turn for the worst in 2023 as he was in the 75th percentile in fielding run value. That may not seem too bad, but Arenado was always considered to be a top third baseman in the league because of his defense, and now that it looks like it's gone away, he's going to be sliding down the rankings. Offensively, Arenado is not hitting the ball as hard as he was before. His expected numbers went down. He's walking less. Things aren't looking too good. He's going to be 33 years old, and the odds of resurgence go down as that age goes up. At number 7 is Josh Young for the Texas Rangers. Young was an all-star in his rookie season and also won the World Series. He's not the perfect player, but he is pretty good all around. He plays solid defense at third as he had a 75th percentile run value and a 91st percentile outs above average. Offensively, he doesn't walk a whole lot and strikes out too much. He does hit for some power though, and the expected numbers are pretty good. He's only going to be 26 next year, so most likely he will just get better. At number 6 is Ke'Bryan Hayes of the Pittsburgh Pirates. This might seem surprising to some of you, but it really shouldn't be. Of course, he doesn't get as much talk as most guys get, as the Pirates aren't the most popular team in the league. He's one of the best defenders in the league though, regardless of position. He put up a 13 fielding run value, which was the best at the third base position. Offensively, he's had some struggles in the past, but this past year, he was slightly above average in terms of production, as you can see in the WRC+. When you look back at the underlying numbers, things look a little promising. His average exit velocity was in the 93rd percentile at 92.2 miles per hour, which is very good, very high, power hitter numbers. The problem is, he likes to hit a lot of hard line drives or ground balls and doesn't elevate the ball all that well. His sweet spot percentage is in the 46th percentile, which means the launch angle isn't ideal. Sweet spot percentage is just a percentage of balls put in play that have a launch angle from 8 to 32 degrees. Those are the balls that often go for doubles or home runs. But if you look back at his rookie season, that number was in the 2nd percentile, and in his 2022 season, that number was in the 20th percentile. Now that it's in the 46th percentile, it looks like it's improving. If he continues to improve and get good launch angles consistently, we could see a big breakout year for Ke'Bryan in 2024 because he's already elite on defense, and that's probably not going to change. By the way, this guy's on one of the most team-friendly contracts in the league, in my opinion. 8 years, $70 million? That isn't even $10 million a year. At number 5 is Rafael Devers for the Boston Red Sox. He's just consistently one of the top hitters in the league year in and year out. He hits the ball hard, the walk and strikeout numbers are pretty good. The problem is that he is awful on defense. 13th percentile fielding run value last year, that's not good, and that is probably not going to get any better. He really would be better if he moved to first base or DH, but that's not going to happen in 2024. He's one of the best hitters in the league, so you can't really complain about the bad defense. At number 4 is Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros. The past 2 seasons, Bregman has walked more than he struck out. There are very few players that do that in today's game, and only 3 others did it last season. This is automatically going to make him one of the better hitters in the league just because his on-base percentage is going to be high, along with his batting average because he's putting the ball in play a lot. He's not a crazy power hitter or anything, but he has no problem getting extra base hits. He's okay defensively, probably a little bit above average, just an all-around solid player that's due for another 4-WAR season. Number 3 is the young gun Gunnar Henderson for the Baltimore Orioles. He's a true 5-tool player, hits the ball hard, takes walks, plays good defense, and runs the bases extremely well. He's one of the best base runners in the league, actually. He was in the 100th percentile in terms of Baseball Savant's base running run value, which means he's pretty good at it. He's only going to be 23 years old. Most likely he'll be number 1 on this list sooner or later, but for now, I don't want to get too aggressive. I have 2 proven stars above him for 2024. At number 2 is probably the best offensive third baseman in the league, and that is Austin Riley of the Atlanta Braves. The last 3 seasons for Riley have been great. He put up over 5 WAR last year, 89th percentile barrel rate, 93rd percentile exit velocity, 89th percentile expected WOBA. He's one of the best hitters in the league. Defensively, he was better last year, but not crazy good. It is good to see him being closer to league average on defense compared to the negative numbers he was putting up in years past, but he's still going to be a great hitter, but he's just not as good as number 1. And finally, at number 1 is Jose Ramirez for the Cleveland Guardians. He's going to hold this title until he has a bad season. The last 3 years, he put up 5.1 WAR, 6.4 WAR, and 6.6 WAR. He's just on another level. Defensively, he's great. Offensively, he's great. Base running wise, he's great. Walks more than he strikes out, along with Alex Bregman. He was one of the other 3 that I was talking about. He's in the 98th percentile in terms of strikeout rate. You don't come across players like this often. This is his number 1 spot to lose, and he definitely deserves it going into the 2024 season. That's it for the ranking. Here's the full list if you want the review. You can pause the video. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you like the rankings. Goodbye.